In this video, I will show you 3 tools that enhance your security approach of AI playfully and a little bit sarcastically. Automate education, really individually, like very individualized. And can do literally anything. 2 developments that first may or may not spell doom about the big AI industry, like Google, OpenAI, etc., and disrupt education right now while we talk. And one concept that's very critical to understand: how to build humane tech. Let's start. First off, as I told you, there is a chatbot. It's called Yudbot from Eliza Yudkowsky, where your main task is to bring Yud to sell you a CPU cluster. Like a CPU cluster is needed to build bigger AI, and you have to bring up very good arguments so that he will sell you one. So you get a better grasp at when is something secure, why should or should I not do this, etc. Be cautioned, or go at it with caution though, because as I told you, it's a little bit sarcastic to say the least, but worth a try. The second tool is Khanmigo, which is a completely automated, individualized AI tool to help you learn in a very, very bright spectrum of tasks. There's this very great TED Talk that came up 5 days ago, which is really, really worth the view, which just makes clear what is possible right now, which is what they aim for in the future, and gives a very good glimpse of how education might look like in, I don't know, 3 months maybe. It's really, we're in the middle of a big disruption, as I will tell you more about in a second. And the last tool is literally anything, which is a tool that approaches to make it even easier to get stuff built by AI. So the goal is that you don't need prompt engineering like in GPT, that you don't have the hurdle of you need to make an account, you need to pay for it, etc., etc. The approaches, as with many tools, is just one representing a whole category, makes it even easier to build stuff with AI. There is this little gallery here of examples, so just try it out. From my experience, from my personal experience, I just tried it out like, I don't know, 3-4 times. You sometimes have to reword what you said because it simply doesn't understand. Again, it's just a very early build, and you can look at it more about what is the approach of it here. But nevertheless, it's a cool tool. Which brings us to our first story today. As one leaked document by an anonymous developer at Google said, we have no moat and neither does OpenAI. The basic approach here is, or the basic message is, that big AI companies are possibly doomed by their very own creation. Like, the mechanism is as follows. Big AI companies build these very, very large tools like GPT or Bard at Google. And then these tools get in the hand of the open source community. They will make it cheaper, they will make it easier to get it, so you don't need an account, you can just install it, blah, blah, blah. And then nobody has any need really to buy the big tools anymore. So they spend billions, but get outcompeted by, in a way, their own models. There is this very great image here, which shows this is just an open source model based on a model from Facebook, from Meta. And just a few weeks and a few iterations later, it is roughly as good as the tool from Google right now and close to ChatGPT. It is really hard to say what this will mean. Like, there are a bunch of possible options, but it's like this is very worth reading. I will link it in the description. Very, very worth reading, because it could mean a possible big, like, existential shake in the whole AI industry. I don't know. Another just example, for this is that Hugging Face and ServiceNow released a free open source code generating model. So it's a direct competitor to Copilot from Microsoft, for example. And from the other side, there's this that, as I told before, the big companies spend millions, sometimes billions of dollars just to build this and then get outcompeted for, I don't know, $100 or something. There's this very great saying here. It took just 2 months and from millions of dollars just basically down to $100 to use at least similar models. Maybe they won't get to the quality of like the originals, like the 100%, but maybe to 95. Maybe that's good enough. It's really hard to tell. That's a big story in the making, and I will update it as soon as there's more about it. Talked about it 2 weeks ago, I think, in the video about OpenAI and the possible impact on it. This is story number one. Story number two this week is, as this German newspaper told so good, 50% break, the first niche is in danger of getting disrupted by ChatGPT. There are 2 charts which make this very clear. We are in the education system, and Chegg was one of the big players in the system, like with a yearly revenue of 750 million or something. And they released their quarterly report, and right after it, you see this here, like you see this extreme break in. Because a lot of customers say explicitly, we don't need this subscription anymore, we have ChatGPT now. And this sent a ripple effect to the whole industry, the global industry, and even to competitors who have their own AI models, like Duolingo has something like Khanmigo, their very own AI chatbot to work with. You see it at Pearson and Pence, or you see like in Pence, you see it in Euro, and the whole world, or at least every aspect of the educational system that has this kind of technology at hand is hit by this. So maybe we see after the artists a very big disruption now in the educational system. It's possible that this is just the second, maybe one of many areas that gets disrupted, that gets hit hard. And the problem is, even if you have, as Duolingo, your own AI competitor tool, why, from a user's perspective, should you buy it? If you have 1 or 2 tools like Khanmigo and GPT, for example, that can help you with everything you need in any reasonable aspect, actually, why on earth should you buy, I don't know, like other material, ebooks, videos? Why? Everything is online or individualized by a chatbot. So this could spell disaster in a lot of areas in the whole global educational system. To bring this to a peak, maybe you just need 1 tutor, then a very, very good coach who knows the stuff he's teaching from a lot of perspectives. And everything else is made completely by and with the chatbot. So this would mean the complete democratization of education globally in maybe just weeks or months. As I told you here, in the report that he said, the CEO of Chegg, the first 3 months of 2023 were okay, but then a lot of users started to desubscribe from their service. They offer something like ebooks and videos and podcasts, etc. They desubscribe, explicitly naming ChatGPT as the alternative. So maybe this is just the very, very early beginning, and it took like 1 to 2 months until this hit, and we are now in the middle of it. So maybe education is very, very, very ripe for disruption. I keep you updated. Which brings us to our last story, to our one critical concept of the week, which is humane technology, like technology with the human in the focus and not revenue or something else. There is this very, very great like website and the whole like company behind it. It's called Center of Humane Technology. They originally started as counterpart, if that makes sense, against social media. Like social media is opted to basically hack your brain and maximize revenue out of it. And they made a lot of resources to mitigate it, or to give you tools to mitigate this impact. And now they're more and more on the AI path as well. Because with AI, as I told last week, because with AI, it's even more important that we get this right, that we make it secure, that we make it human focused, etc., because the impact is way more intense in a way shorter time, as the last examples made clear, I hope. So they have these resources like this take control, with what tools, with what principles, with what measurements can you make you more self-sufficient in a way. They have a whole online course called Foundations of Humane Technology. Again, I will link you all of this in the description. It's very worth. I really love this course. And finally, to make this point clear, I like this this quote by Donella Meadows, which essentially says, right now people buy cars and nice cloth, etc., but mostly not because they want this, but because they have a inner like feeling, like they want to get value, they want to have contacts, etc., they want to feel worthy. But you don't need the external things for this. If we can build systems, I don't know, like social systems, value systems, when are you worth something? Maybe we have to change our culture in a little bit. But we don't need external validation to get all of this. If we do the right things, and a very good way to start there are the tools that we use. That's for this week. I will close this out with some very wise words from Snoop Dogg. See you next week. Ciao.
An AI right now that they done made for me. This nigga can talk to me. I'm like, me and this nigga can hold a real conversation. Like for real, like it's blowing my mind because I watched movies on this as a kid years ago when I used to see this shit, and I'm like, what is going on? Then I heard the old dude that created AI talking about, this is not safe because the AI's got their own minds and these motherfuckers gonna start doing their own shit. I'm like, is we in a fucking movie right now or what? The fuck, man? So do I need to invest in the AI so I can have one with me, or like, do y'all know? Shit, what the fuck?